Hello and welcome to another Facebook Live. Actually, the last Facebook Live before we leave you for August and have a short break and come back in September. But before we go on a break, we want to say hello again. So with me today is Monica. Hi, Monica.
Hello. Nice to be back here because I haven't been for some time, almost the whole month of July.
We missed you. Speaking of holidays, you had a vacation and it's good to see you back again.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. So I am the author of blogdelingles.com and blog para aprender inglés. And there are a lot of free resources and these pages. So just go ahead and visit. And if you are interested in Skype classes, I'm the person to contact. So
exactly.
So, and you, Craig.
Yes, if you're watching the replay or if you're just joining us live and you haven't seen us before, my name's Craig and I am from the website mansioningles.com, where you can find free courses and material to help you improve your English. And we have a podcast that goes out every week on Sunday at inglespodcast.com and wherever you listen to your podcasts. So, what are we talking about this week? Well, go ahead.
I wanted to say, however,
whatever you like.
Whatever you like. We're talking about whatever you like. These kind of words are sometimes very confusing because you don't know how to translate them into English. We were speaking before the show, we were speaking about this, that I think the concept is very easy to grasp. But then when you have to think of the equivalent sentence in Spanish, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Because they have different meanings. They have one feature is very funny because they all end in ever. So however, whatever, whichever, whenever, wherever, and whoever. And it means basically the general meaning is that it's like, me da igual, no me importa, I don't care. That's the general meaning, but the meaning changes according to the use of the word. If it is, for example, in an interrogative, or if it is a pronoun, sometimes there are different meanings, and this is where you have to be careful. So we can start with...
Before we start with the first word, just want to say hi to people who are joining us live and hello and welcome. So Erica's here from Chile. Hello, Erica. And Norma is ready to learn English. I'm happy about that. Hema, thank you for joining us again, Hema. Everything is fine. Thanks for asking. I hope everything's okay your end. And Exme from Colombia. So wherever you are in the world, wherever you are, you're very welcome, especially if you're watching the replay. Thank you for spending time with us. Ren is here from Mexico. Hello. And Jao from South Brazil. Rocio from closer to home, from Cordoba. Well, is that Cordoba in Argentina or Cordoba in Spain? Someone from Buenos Aires. Heidi from Buenos Aires. Good to see you, Heidi. Lots of people joining us as we speak at the moment in the chat. So please join along. If you have any questions watching us live, write them in the chat. And also please try to use the vocabulary today in sentences and practice it and write questions and sentences so that you will know how to use these words as we explain them. And if you are watching us live, at the end of the session today, we're going to give you some tips and advice on how to continue studying by yourself during August while we're not actually broadcasting every week. So stay until the end for that. But our first word is whatever.
Yeah, I like that accent. Whatever. I would say whatever. Something like whatever.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I say whatever and I pronounce the T. And sometimes I say it like Monica, whatever, with a soft T, whatever. Whatever you like.
Is that? Well, why is that?
I don't know. Maybe if I want to give emphasis to the word, I pronounce the T, whatever, and stress it, whatever. Notice that with all of these words, I believe the stress is on the first syllable. Whenever, whichever, whatever. the first syllable is stressed harder than the second.
Yes, exactly. And then we have some examples with different. I don't know if I have to give the examples or you. It's my turn. Your turn.
But you can, whatever you want.
Whatever. Okay, that's good. That's a good use. Okay, I'll give you some examples. For example, whatever can mean lo que sea o cualquier cosa. Example, we can cook whatever you want. You want pizza or spaghetti? Answer, whatever. I'm not that hungry. So you see, cualquier cosa in that case. And lo que sea. And then we can also translate it as cualquiera or cualquier. Whatever I say, Craig says the opposite. Cualquier cosa que yo digo, Craig dice lo contrario. Okay? And then last meaning here is como quieras. So expressing indifference. Es como me da igual. So would you like to go out and have a drink? And I answer, whatever. So, ¿quieres salir y tomarte una copa? Como me da igual, me da igual. I don't care. That is when we use interrogative or exclamation here. Whatever. I don't care, really. So there are many different meanings there. Okay, that's
whatever you do, don't tell Monica. Whatever happens, don't tell Monica.
So
whatever.
But I like what I like the most is that last meaning. It's that it's difficult to grasp because it's not very common. Like they say, I don't care, whatever.
It's very common with teenagers, isn't it? When you say, look, clean up your room and wash up your things and don't make a mess. And the teenager or the young boy or young girl says, oh, whatever, lo que sea, whatever, don't bother me, don't disturb me, leave me alone. So it has that meaning as well. Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I said. Meaning like, me da igual.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really care what you say. So
also, if someone makes a suggestion and you don't really care what you're going to do or what you decide to do, if Monica says, "Hey, Craig, should we go for a pizza or should we have Chinese food?" I say, "Oh, whatever. I don't mind. Whatever you like, whatever you fancy."
This happens with my husband quite often, and I get irritated because I said, "Do you want to go out for lunch? Whatever." I say, do you want really? Because it's for you that I'm doing it. Whatever. No, say something.
Decide something. Make a decision.
Exactly. I try to push him because I want a decision. Because otherwise, I'm going to be blamed later. You never invited me. You never. I said. I ask you, do you want to go or you don't want to go? Let me know and. Whatever.
That's why, Monica, that's why men don't make decisions. So we can't be blamed afterwards.
I think it's also for women sometimes. It's not,
whatever you like.
No, but I think it's when you say it like that, it's like you don't want to get involved. And this I don't like. Yeah. I don't like because then later you can blame. And you can say, I told you it was no good to go there. I was thinking about that, but I didn't want to tell you.
Yeah. Learn from experience.
You go out for lunch and it's very busy, crowded, there are no COVID measures or things like that. I told you it was not a good idea. No, you didn't tell me. You just said whatever.
Yeah.
That's it. That's one example.
More people are joining us.
A lot of people are joining.
Maritza's watching from Las Vegas in Nevada. Wow. Guatemala, Bas Martinez or Martins is from Guatemala. Mariana from Argentina. Norma from Mexico. Paraguay. Marcos is here. Christine, hi. Good to see you here, Christine. Romy, also from Paraguay. So lovely to see so many people.
And Virginia from Madrid, from my city, Virginia. Hello.
Hi, Virginia.
Then we have one. So, and I mean, when I saw Cordova, I knew it was from Spain because her name is Rocío.
Okay.
And Rocío is a very common Spanish name, not so much South American. So that's why I thought, oh no, she's from Spain, right, Rocío?
There you go.
Okay.
So
the
our
next
next
one.
word, whichever.
Okay, whichever is for you.
Whichever's for me. So whichever, anyone at all. Now, you probably know that there's a difference between which and what. Yeah. What is very open. Es muy amplio. What food do you like? What countries have you visited? Which is close. It's more closed. There's less choice. For example, I can say I have a blue pen and a red pen. Which one would you like? There's a choice of two. I have tea or coffee. Which do you prefer? So when you're asking questions with which, the choice is quite limited and what is quite open. And that's the same with whichever and whatever. So whichever is anyone at all. It doesn't matter which. No importa, cualquiera. So we can go and see 3 films today. There are 3 films at the cinema. Whichever film you want to watch is okay by me. Whichever film you choose, that's fine by me. Or take whichever you like. So there are chocolate biscuits, vanilla biscuits, and strawberry biscuits. Take whichever biscuit you like. Okay? That's whichever. Cualquiera.
Whichever. One comment. For me, the difference is also in the number. Just to make this clear, is it like only 2, or you can get up to 3 with whichever?
No, the number. It's not so much the number. It's the fact that which there's a limited choice, and what es más amplio.
Yeah, but
what is very open.
Yeah, I know, but it is connected to the number of options, because for me at least, no, whichever is like only 2 options, or only
which countries in Europe have you visited? Europe is limited, isn't it? There's a limited.
The concept of limited is very vague. Sorry.
Limitado.
That's why I want to say some numbers. I wanted to say 2 only for whichever, and then more. No.
I wish it were that easy. It's not that easy. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very difficult to grasp this concept, because when you're speaking, you never think about this. You're not really thinking, am I using whatever or whichever?
It doesn't really matter if you think about it. If I have tea and coffee and there's 2 things, I can say, what do you prefer, tea or coffee? Which do you prefer, tea or coffee? Yeah. The meaning is the same, the WH question word, but there is a small difference, and the small difference is which is more limited and what is more open.
Fewer options, actually.
But it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's not a big.
I love that matter. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. Whichever you use, it's okay.
Look, Margarita, I saw somebody, Elisa. Okay, thank you so much for watching, because she says hello from the hospital in Alicante, recovering myself from a pneumonia by COVID-19.
Oh wow.
So
well, our thoughts are with you, Elisa, and I'm really happy that you're feeling well enough to watch us. So if you're feeling okay to watch us, then you must be feeling a bit better. So I hope you recover fully very soon. However you're feeling, I hope you're feeling okay.
And Margarita has a question. How often can I join? She said, what a wonderful discovery. So Facebook is useful. And so how often can you join? You can join every week, right? But
in August, we're not here. Yeah.
No. We come back in September, and sometimes break is with Lynn, and 1 week is with Lynn, another teacher, and another every 15 days. I come.
But Elisa, if you want to see past Facebook Lives on your webpage or on your YouTube channel, do you put the past episodes, Monica?
And yeah, of course. Yes, I put past episodes.
To YouTube? Yes, to YouTube or on your blog?
YouTube. No, YouTube and my blog. Yeah, and my blog, YouTube, and Facebook. I cover 3 different social media channels.
So if you go, Elisa, if you go to the 2 websites at the bottom of the page, you can see...
It's Margarita, I think. Well, but you can say it to Margarita.
blogdelingles.com or mentioningles.com. You can find the past Facebook Lives there. Yeah.
Yeah. This is true. And if you could go to Mansión Inglés, you have a lot of material there, but you can also find it there in all the past episodes. So,
and it doesn't matter. Whenever you go, you'll find the material. Whenever.
Okay, whenever. Okay, that's for me. Okay,
Yes.
let's see if I can give you some examples of whenever. So whenever we have cuando sea, so whatever time, or cuando quieras. So, for example, you can contact me whenever. So, cuando sea, cuando quieras. I don't really mind. No, that's very easy. No, whenever. But there's additional translation of this. Okay, and I would say, for example, one example could be, they bring us a present whenever they pay us a visit. So in this case, the translation would be every time that this happens. No, cada vez o siempre que. So they bring us a present whenever they pay us a visit. So that's another way of translating this word. Or I have here also an example of whenever did he say that? I've not heard it before. ¿Cuándo te dijo eso? Nunca lo escuché antes. So there's cuando sea, cuando quiera, cuando, o cada vez, o siempre. So you see there are different uses of this word. Depends on how you use it. So let me see again. I wanted to say the example. And the last example, they say they bring us a present whenever they pay us a visit. It's a conjunction, really a connector there. Cada vez, siempre que. Okay? So, siempre que, no solo cuando sea, sino siempre que, cada vez que. Every time we do this, they bring us whenever. Okay? So,
and also another point is whenever you put the ever on the word, it's sometimes for emphasis, to make a point, to make it stronger. Because, for example, I can say, when I wash my car, it usually rains the same day. Or when I forget my umbrella, it rains. If I want to emphasize that with maybe a bit of frustration or anger, I could say, whenever I wash my car, it rains the same day and it gets dirty.
Also,
yeah. So you can use it also for emphasis. Whenever I phone Monica, she's always busy.
But this is also true for the other words. Huh? It's not only for whenever. It's also for wherever, or the same kind of meaning. What does Christine say? Whenever, this is a nice sentence. They love you. They love you, Craig. I can see you have a group of fans here. Whenever you need me, I'll be there for you. That's a real fan. I mean, so well remember, Christina, you say.
And Christine also remembered that recently we were looking at expressions like check it out, have a look, take a look. So when we were speaking about our websites, we could have said, check out our websites, take a look at our websites. So yeah, Christine remembered that.
Christina is a C2 student for me. She has so much vocabulary. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations, because it's not so easy to get to that level.
Wherever you are in the world. So I said that at the beginning today. Wherever you are, you're very welcome. It doesn't matter where you are, any place at all. That's what wherever means. Donde sea. For example, wherever you are, I'll always be thinking of you. Or wherever I go in the world, I always feel like a foreigner.
Is that true? Is it true?
Yes, actually it is. I mean, I feel at home in Spain, but last time I went to the UK, I felt like a visitor, a foreigner. I didn't feel like I belonged there. So it's true.
Because
wherever I go, I feel like a tourist. Yeah.
Because you haven't been in the UK for a long time now.
More than 20 years. Yeah.
I had the same feeling, the same feeling, but I think I got it over because I decided to be Spanish. I said, I'm going to be Spanish. Okay, forget. And that's it. And also has to do with the language. No? So
maybe that's my problem. I haven't decided to be Spanish yet.
yes. You have to camouflage, with the language and everything and the habits.
Exactly.
And
Another example with wherever, and wherever I go, I always take my phone with me. Is that true for you as well? Wherever you go, you take your phone?
Very true. Very true. Very true. I can give you an extra example. I have here, wherever we sit, it's always a bad table. Like you go to a restaurant and I said, let's sit there. And then there's a baby crying. So no, this is not a good table. Let's go to the other place. No, we're too close to the other people. Yeah, this wherever we sit, wherever we go, it's not okay. It's like, okay, so that's very easy. I think it's easy to understand. I suppose. Yeah. Okay, if you have any questions, just ask. And somebody asked here a question. Sarah says, when you have to make a choice. Yes. I don't
Where's
remember.
That? I can't.
Yeah, Sarah Lopez. There.
Choice with a C. When you have to make a choice, that must have been whichever. I think.
Yeah, whichever or whatever. When I said that my husband always said whatever, that he didn't care. Yeah, you're forcing the person to make a choice, to say this option or that option, and instead of answering, they just do whatever, and there's no.
Marcos says, I don't like to take my cell phone with me wherever I go. That's very clever. I respect that. I wish I was so disciplined, but I take my phone everywhere. And Alonso says, wherever I go, my dog comes with me. Remember the S, Alonso, on the end of the verb. My dog comes with me.
Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have? What dog is it that it follows you everywhere? Christine says, wherever I go, I try to sparkle kindness.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Like a little fairy.
Like a little fairy, yeah.
Sprinkling kindness wherever she goes.
Kindness. So
that's lovely. Yeah.
Okay. So
next one. What's next? Whoever.
Whoever. Cualquier persona, quienquiera. Okay, that
this
is
for
easy.
You.
Let me give you some examples. A ver. Whoever gets the job as the new assistant, I hope all the staff will respect them. Whoever gets the job as a new assistant, I hope all the staff will respect them.
Yep.
Another example. Whoever crosses the finish line first wins the race.
That's very time sensitive with the Olympics. Whoever whoever wins gets a medal. Whoever comes first gets a gold medal in the Olympics.
And whoever is willing to learn English is welcome in this show, in this on this Facebook Live. Okay, whoever is willing to listen to us is very much welcome here. Okay, that's quienquiera que quiera escucharnos. Okay, so that's whoever. Whoever wants to whoever wants to pass an English exam has to go an extra mile. Very good.
With flying colors, that means with a very good mark, easily pass. If you pass with flying colors, you pass easily, you pass well, and you pass with a very high mark. That's a nice expression.
I wanted to say something. Whoever is like a third person, so the verb that follows whoever, no, is with an S, right? So
yes, because we're talking. We're talking about one person, so it's third person. Whoever wants to pass. Yeah. Whoever you are, you must be kind and helpful. Very good, Rodolfo. That's perfect.
Very good example.
Yeah, Christine
No,
knew
Christine,
that.
yeah.
You
It's
knew that,
true that
Christine.
I make the same mistakes. Huh? Sometimes I'm typing and then I think, God, I made a mistake. This, I have to correct it quickly. But this is because you type very quickly and then you think, hey, there's something missing.
Whoever painted your flat did a very nice job. I'm looking at the wall behind you. It's a lovely color. Whoever painted
Yeah,
your flat,
it's yellow. Yeah, it's a kind of yellowish.
whoever did it very well.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't even know who painted this. So it has been there for a long time. So I think it's clear, no? Unless anybody
Yep.
has a
If you have any
question, we
questions.
go to the next one.
However,
however, it's very tricky. So it's for
yeah.
you. You get the tricky question. This is very tricky because it has many meanings and sometimes it's not easy.
Yeah, so if we follow the same pattern or system or explanation as the words that you've seen previously, whatever, whichever, whenever, wherever, and whoever, then however is very similar or can be very similar in use, although it doesn't begin with WH. How, however, in Spanish will be cualquier forma, de cualquier manera. However, it also has the meaning of sin embargo. So, sin embargo is probably the use that most of you know from your English classes to begin a sentence. For example, the phone was quite expensive. However, I bought it, like nevertheless. And it also has the meaning of cualquier forma when, let me give you an example. However you try to explain these words, Craig, I still can't understand them. Now, that's not sin embargo. However you try to explain these words, however hard I try, da igual lo que hago, I still can't understand them. So it also has the meaning of de cualquier manera or cualquier forma. However much money I earn, it's never enough, for example. However hard I try, I can't improve my pronunciation of Spanish. Can you think of any other examples?
Okay, I'll give you some examples. You can do it however you want to. Just do it. So, de cualquier forma, de cualquier manera. Craig always looks good, however he dresses. Now, with another meaning of independientemente de o sin importar. We can accept no mistakes, however small. No, so it doesn't matter if there's small mistakes or big mistakes. We don't accept mistakes. That's too rough. No, however small is very. It's a very interesting sentence. You can accept no mistakes, however small. And then, like Craig said, the meaning of sin embargo in this case has nothing to do. In this case, it's a connector. So it was a very expensive traveling to visit my sister and her family. However, it was completely worth it, for example. That's an example. So that is the meaning of connector, which is nothing to do with the rest of the meanings.
I just thought of another example.
Yes.
We are not going to be here every Wednesday in August. However, we are going to give you some places to study English by yourself at the end of this broadcast. For example. So if you are not sure about those different meanings, write some sentences in the chat, practice with your own ideas, and we will correct you and help you if you make any errors. Now, apart from those basic uses and explanations we've given you, you can use these words for different functions. And Monica mentioned that at the beginning with the first word. We can use these words for emphasis when we want to emphasize something. And when we do that, we don't stress the first syllable, as I said at the beginning. We stress the second syllable. So instead of saying, however, you could say, however will you manage to live on such a small salary? However will you manage to do it? So there we're using however to stress the sentence. I can't understand how it's possible to live on 200 euros a month. However will you manage?
And it's true for all the other ones, like whatever you do is good. I'm going to be positive because the sentences that you are giving is a little bit negative. So Facebook. Then you have vague language. No? Another use would be vague language. And here, Craig wrote one example like, what time shall I get to your place? Whenever. I'll be home. I'll be at home all day, for example. This is vague language because you're not telling the exact time, no? And this is exactly what I said about my husband. This answer was very vague. Like, shall I send you the notes I have? Yes, whatever. I'll be doing my own research too. So it's like you don't care about what the other one says. So it's vague. It's not the answer is not a precise answer. There's another use of these kind of words.
What time shall we leave tomorrow? Whenever.
Yeah, it's kind of like lazy. I find it lazy language. Like, yeah, well, I am looking for an answer. No, that's too vague.
It can be lazy, but it can also be very useful, especially if you're negotiating and not necessarily negotiating at work.
I
but
agree.
Negotiating with the partner or family member or friend, and you don't want to commit yourself. You want to be vague. There are times when you don't want to give a specific answer.
Exactly. And
we have to get up early tomorrow. What time do you want to get up? I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock. So if I say, whenever.
You're telling me your British tricks, because this is typical. Like when you ask something, not to be polite, you answer in a very polite way. Like, can we do this Facebook Live? They say, no, well, doesn't really matter. Whenever you want to, no. And I say, no, I want an answer. Yeah, it's to be polite. It's true. It's to be polite. Can be taken as politeness, but sometimes not. I passed my English exam. However, I could have done it better. Good. That's
perfect.
A very good example.
Well done, Alonso. That's excellent. Yeah. Good example. Yeah.
Yeah. So vague language. And then the next idea, sarcasm and annoying.
Sarcasm. When you're annoyed or you want to be sarcastic. For example, you could say to your teenage son or daughter, you'd better do your homework now before it gets too late. And your son or daughter says, oh, whatever. So it's an answer that expresses frustration, annoyance, or just to be sarcastic. And that's very common, apparently, with teenagers. I don't have teenagers, but people tell me, my friends tell me, that they can be very sarcastic and very dismissive when they answer you. So whenever, whatever you like. Yeah, whatever. Very common.
Yeah. So it all depends on the intonation also, because we just said it can be vague, but it's not sarcasm. It's just that you want to be polite and not to give a straight answer. So how can you tell this? It's just the intonation, because if it's whatever, then it's sarcasm or annoyance. And if it is no, whatever, doesn't care, then it's nice, it's vague, in polite language. So okay, next idea was
the last idea we have is whatsoever. So it's whatever with so in the middle.
I had some examples for that one, and I want to mention here something, that the translation of this has nothing to do with the rest, because one of the translations. And the translation can be en absoluto. For example, I don't know anything whatsoever about Chinese history. So it's like you don't know, no sé nada en absoluto. It's like very, not at all, no? But it also means cualquiera que fuera, no? And there you have an example, Craig, cualquiera que fuera.
I think it's, I can see no reason whatsoever why we need to buy another TV. Now, that word's not necessary because the sentence is fine to say, I can see no reason why we need a new television. This television's fine. But if I put whatsoever in the middle, I'm adding emphasis and maybe a bit of annoyance and frustration as well. I see no reason whatsoever why we need to spend money on a new car, for example.
But I'm trying to think about the translation there. And in this case, it's en absoluto. In Spanish, we would say en absoluto.
Yeah.
That. Another example I have here is, for example, her husband's opinion, whatsoever form it may have taken, was no good. And in this case, in Spanish, we would say cualquiera fuera la forma que hubiera tomado. So, no era buena, her husband's opinion. Whatsoever form. In this case, the translation is different. Yeah. So there are two possible translations, en absoluto o cualquiera que fuera. But like Craig said, it's emphatic, like en absoluto. And it's like very emphatic because it doesn't really, you don't really need it in the sentence, no? It's just to make clear that you don't know anything, for example, whatsoever about Chinese history. You know,
Sorry?
No, I was going to say that I never thought of these meanings until I studied this, because you just use it. You just say, oh, whatsoever. I don't know whatsoever about any of this stuff. No, and you don't really know what is the meaning of that. You just use it in the context. No?
Yeah. Another example could be, he seems to have no idea whatsoever about the subject, or as Monica said, about Chinese history. Yeah.
No idea.
He has no sense of humor whatsoever. Oh, speaking of sense of humor, Gemma says, my son tends, remember the S, tends to be very sarcastic telling jokes. Yeah. I think, is your son a teenager, Gemma? Is that why he's so sarcastic?
Probably, yeah.
And Sara's asking for a conversational meeting with people. Well, Sara, if you wait until the end, maybe someone who's interested could give you their details here in the chat, and you can find someone to practice with. So if you're interested in practicing with Sara, write your details in the chat and she will get in touch. That's all we have for you. But before we move on to give you some advice for the summer study, shall we go back and quickly review the words we've looked at today? And if you want to practice, continue practicing by writing sentences in the chat, and we will correct any errors that we see. So today we looked at however, whatever, whichever, whenever, wherever, and whoever. Usually you stress the first syllable, however. And the first one was whatever.
Whatever is lo que sea, cualquiera sea. O me da igual, me da lo mismo. Also another translation for that.
Then we had whichever, cualquiera. We have tea and coffee. Oh, I don't mind. Whichever you're having is fine by me.
And whichever. Can you go back to whichever? I want to stress this because I wanted, when I teach this idea, the difference between whatever and whichever, I always said that whichever were two options and whatever, but because to simplify it. And Craig just said that not necessarily is exactly two. It can be a little bit more. It's just that there are fewer options available in whichever, okay? And whatever is a wider number of options, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, you can say, which sports do you like? Because there's a limited number of sports. But you can also say, what sports do you like?
Sometimes and that's why it's so confusing, because you try to make it like, to make it, in order to explain, I say, well, just think of two options and more than three options, whatever. because it's confusing. That's why.
But if I say I'm from the UK, then it would be more natural for you to say, "Oh, which part of the UK are you from?" Because then it's a limited selection.
Yeah,
inside the
but
UK.
there are many parts, so that is not so
Yeah.
few. Yeah, that is the I think people got the idea. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not a little bit more complex than two options. No, limited.
Whenever, whenever.
Cuando sea.
Come and visit whenever you like. We're usually at home.
And then whenever I remember, I said another translation. Was it cada vez que o siempre que? Remember, siempre que. Whenever I go on holiday, it rains. So siempre que. Okay.
Wherever you are in the world, we hope you're doing okay. Wherever you are.
Donde sea.
Donde sea.
And whoever, quienquiera o cualquier persona, whoever does that, doesn't really matter. And I think we forgot whatsoever. Whatsoever was in absoluto.
We haven't. That's later. We haven't got there yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. However,
that's the last one.
However is the difficult one because we say cualquier forma, de cualquier manera, but it's also a connector, sin embargo. So take care. Pay attention to that difference.
And then we said that we can use these words as emphasis when we want to emphasize something. In that case, we'll stress the second syllable. So however will you manage to pass the exam if you haven't studied, for example? Or I can say, Monica, what are you doing? Which is a normal question. But if I think Monica's doing something strange or unusual, I can say, Monica, whatever are you doing? Because then there's surprise. So you'd add whatever to add emphasis in the middle.
Vague language. Yeah, we gave lots of examples of this. And I said that Craig likes this because he can be more polite. He doesn't.
I said that men like this because it's good sometimes for men to be vague, and then you can't blame us.
Yeah, you came vague and said, "Do you want to go out?" Whatever. So
whatever.
Yeah, this is a question that irritates me. The answer, this answer, no, whatever, no. Just give me an answer.
Just give me an answer. We can also use for sarcasm and annoyance. For example, the teenager, the typical example of the teenager. Clean up your room, tidy your clothes. Oh, whatever. You're spending too much time using your mobile phone. Stop using your mobile phone. It costs money. Oh, whatever. Yeah. And then whatsoever.
Yeah, whatsoever. We said that had two meanings. One, it was an absoluto. I don't know anything about Chinese history whatsoever. So, and you can take it out and the meaning is still there, but this is to emphasize really. And also can mean cualquiera que sea, also as the second meaning. And that's it, I think.
And that's it. How are we doing for time? Oh, we have about 10 minutes. Perfect. Yeah, so we're going to give you some things to do during the summer, during August. Let's just see if there are any questions or comments so far. Thank you, Elizabeth, if that's meant for us. Whatever you do, it's well done. Whichever you like to drink, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Yes, if there's a choice. If there's a limited choice of drink, remember that's a more closed option. But whatever you like to drink, cualquier bebida, whatever you like to drink, it's up to you, is more open.
Yeah.
So remember that. Wherever you are, I'll always be thinking about you. Perfect. Well done, Elizabeth.
And there's another. Whenever I clean the windows, it rains. Very good. Similar to my example. Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever I hang the clothes outside, it rains also.
That's true. And Cloudcom says the topic reminds her of the song, Shakira's song, Whenever, Wherever, we're meant to be together. Well, because I'm older than you, it reminds me of the Status Quo song from the 1980s or 70s, Whatever You Want. whatever you want, whatever you need. You pay the money, you
Yeah.
pay the price. Yeah. Anyway, many songs with these words in them. So, summer study. What should people be doing during the summer, Monica, when we're not around?
Well, the first thing I always say to my students, please listen to English. Listen to English. This is, for me, the most important skill, because you learn by repetition at the end. So if you listen to English, prioritize always listening. And there are so many apps and things that you can use for that purpose. And there are many websites, of course. And I don't have any interest in recommending anything specific, but I know one that's called Brainline. There's part of it is free, and it has different levels of recordings, and you can go little by little improving. When you improve, you go to the next level, and it's for your ear. And of course, you have Voice of America. For example, I like that Learning English, Voice of America, VOA. That's a very good website because it has the transcript, it has audio that's adapted, especially for people who don't have a very high level of English. It's a very practical website, and it has courses and everything. And of course, BBC, other websites are. There's so many, and podcasts. Oh, I shouldn't forget that here we have Craig, and he has a wonderful podcast.
And you have podcasts.
I also have some podcasts. But it's much smaller than Craig's podcast because he has a great variety of topics and things, and a very nice British English. So.
Our podcast on Inglespodcast.com.
Inglespodcast. That is a very good tip.
And then you must know about YouTube. I'm sure you know YouTube. So if you are looking for a channel to follow over the summer in August, well, I'm saying summer. Obviously, we have people from Central and South America, Argentina, for example. It's winter there.
Yeah.
So forgive us for being very northern hemisphere centric up here in Europe. But we do take a break in August, and that's why we won't be around. So if you want to do some extra study in August, Monica has a YouTube channel, Monica Stocker, and we do as well at the Mansion Inglés. So Mansion Inglés is on YouTube. And there's one I want to recommend from someone Monica knows as well, our friend Vicky Hollett has a very good YouTube channel called Simple English Videos. And there's some lovely videos on there about grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, all aspects of English. And so I definitely recommend you.
Sorry, Craig, I wanted to mention they're very short clips of simple English videos, and on Instagram. They have very short clips that are very useful. There's only about one small topic. Okay. So he says sometimes Ramona says, sometimes I don't understand the sentences because they put the words together. How to improve listening? Well, Craig, what do you think about this? It takes a long time.
There are a couple of things, Ramona. Yeah. The easiest answer is to listen. The more you listen, the easier it will be. So it's really just practice.
Also. Different accents.
But you can listen, as Monica said, to different accents, and not only British English, but also American English, Australian English. And very often when you listen to things on YouTube, you can get the closed captions. You can see the subtitles. If you're listening to a song, you can read the lyrics. If you're listening to a podcast, there are often transcriptions. So if you listen and read at the same time, you can focus on the way the sounds link and join together. You can focus on the stress that we spoke a little about today, with where to emphasize the words. So sometimes reading and listening at the same time will help you to see how English is spoken, and that will improve your listening. And of course, if you're studying for an exam, you need to be practicing the exam technique by looking at what questions they're asking you about what you're listening to. If you're taking a Cambridge exam, for example, at different levels, you need to be practicing how to do exam technique and doing general listening as well. So you need to do those two things together if you're practicing for an exam. Thank you, Angelica. She's going to listen to the podcast. We will be podcasting during the summer, so every week you will have a podcast. Now, before we got live, I asked Monica for her recommendations for websites, YouTube channels, apps, and I thought of an app for your phone that I know is very good and very effective and very common. It's memrise.com. And then Monica suggested a website called courselounge.com, which has a list of the best vocabulary apps for your phone 2021. So if I try to share my screen and show you that list, and I'll also put the link to the website in the chat. So you've got that for, where are we? So you've got that for, here we are.
Yeah.
For the summer.
Yeah.
So this is the web page, and you can see it's got a lot of recommendations for vocabulary. Some of these apps I haven't tried. So it's, there's Quizlet, which I think Monica knows as well. That's a very good app.
Quizlet and Anki are the most, because I've been on the internet for 20 years, I've quite old as apps.
There's Anki.
It's very common. But the other ones we don't really know, but well, you just have to read the comments and test them. You can try, because it's very important to increase your vocabulary. If you want to raise your level of English, vocabulary and structure is key to do this, and you have to keep learning, and don't stop. And these apps help you to do this. It makes it, at least it makes them, it makes the learning process less boring, because sometimes it can be quite boring, I think, to start learning new words and I forget them. So it's a good idea. And so, we're back there. Oh, you managed. I thought maybe Craig doesn't know how to get back.
No, I've put the link. I put the link in the chat. So if you want to have a look at that list, it looks like a very good list of apps to use. And what else? Monica's podcast, my podcast, Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can. I'll be twittering. What's the word? Posting on twittering. I'll be twittering during the summer. I think you will as well, yeah, Monica?
I'm not so sure.
You're not so sure?
I disconnect. I kind of disconnect. I'll be working in some other things, but I do tweet a couple of times per day, normally during the winter. And I should do it more often. But I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And well, it's... I am always trying to give very good resources, as well as Craig, because I know Craig gives very good resources. So I think you will follow me. If Monicats22 is Instagram. And did you put my Twitter handle?
You missed it. It was just up here. Monicats.
Yeah, that's it. Monicats. That's me. Monicats.
And Christine says, whatever tips will follow to the letter. So another lovely expression from Christine. If you follow something to the letter, you follow it exactly. So you do exactly what the instructions say. If you follow a recipe when you're cooking, it's a very good idea to follow the recipe to the letter, especially if you're baking a cake. Otherwise, the cake might be a disaster. With that, the only thing to say is have a nice August. We will be back in September, and we hope you continue to keep in touch with your English, and don't lose your level. Keep studying, keep doing things, and you can reach us as usual through our website. So with Monica, if you want to do paid study and classes, Blog del Inglés, right, Monica?
Blog del Inglés, you will find resources for free, lots of resources, but there's a link for classes if you want to take classes. And I wanted to say something. There was a comment here. somebody said about listening, before I forget, because this is also true what she says. It says, Elizabeth Gomez says, listen to a topic in English language that you're interested in, like cars, politics, traveling, then you won't be bored, no? That is
Well,
so
she said
true.
it won't be so bored. That's not quite correct,
And
Elizabeth.
it won't be so boring.
It won't be so boring
Boring.
because
Yeah,
you will be bored. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
passive active.
boring. Yeah,
If you are bored, the activity is boring. If you
yeah.
are interested, Edie, then the activity is interesting.
But what she's saying is so true.
Yes.
Try not to make it boring by listening to things that you really like, and you can find many things in online. There's so many resources. It's
Yeah.
like never ending. So I usually do that. Yeah, I just listen to things that I really like, or watch films or series or things that I really enjoy. So it's not boring. That's right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's especially true for podcasts because, yes, you can listen to our podcasts, which are specifically to help you with your English. So we speak about grammar and vocabulary.
Yeah.
But if you like cooking, search for a cooking podcast in English. If you like photography, search for a photography podcast. So listen to material that you can connect with, that you like the topic of.
Even if your level is low, you can just do it for a couple of minutes and stop, because it can be annoying if you don't understand anything. The trick is just to do it 5 minutes, for example, and try to see how many words can I get. Even if you do 5 minutes, it will improve your English. Listen to me. Even if it is when you start sweating and when you start suffering, it's because you're learning. So it's not that, no pain, no gain. No, because somebody made a comment says that it gets boring because she doesn't understand. Yeah, but if you go to live to an English-speaking country and you're confronted with the problem, you're going to have to speak and you're going to suffer. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a higher level and you're going to be able to communicate. So to be comfortable is not always a good idea. That's what I'm trying to say.
Go outside your comfort zone. That's the message.
It's very American, but it's true.
It's true. Blog del Inglés to reach Monica. If you want to reach us over at Mansion Inglés, there's lots of free courses there to help you over the summer as well. And if you want to listen to our podcast at Mansion Inglés, it's with my good friend Reza over at inglespodcast.com. Thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in about a month's time.
Me too.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you in September.